Good evening. I'm Russ Brown with tonight's ticker, brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. 7 members of the Nebraska women's basketball team earned all academic Big Ten honors. Alexis Markowski earned academic accolades for the 3rd time in her career. Kendall Coley also earned all academic honors for the 4th time in her career. Kendall Moriarty, Allison Widener, Caitlin Hake, Logan Nisley, and Jessica Petrie also took home all academic honors. Nebraska tips off the NCAA tournament against Louisville tomorrow at 5 o'clock. You can hear the broadcast right here on the HRN with Matt Coatney and Jeff Greesh starting at 4:30. Third-ranked Nebraska men's gymnastics will be in action tomorrow night against number 5 Michigan. The matchup gets underway at the Bob Devaney Sports Center at 7 o'clock. Fans attending the meet will receive a Gymnastics Herbie Husker t-shirt. And finally, the 21st ranked softball team welcomes Minnesota this weekend for their conference home opener. The first game of the series gets underway at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Nate Rohr on the call, and you can hear that on Huskers.com and also on the app. Call a timeout if you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Up next, Hour 1 of Sports Nightly right here on the Husker Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
Rice inside, Butengel extra pass, Wooster 3, no good. Rebound, Gary, put back up and in. Gary high in the air for the offensive carom. We've got a 2-point game.
High drama in Indianapolis. Hake bounces
There it
in.
is.
Layup for Jessica Petrie. Off the assist from Hake. Timeout, Illinois. The Big Red leads by 3. You can't draw up a better inbound play than Kellen Hake to Jessica Petrie.
Brandenburg set at the belt. The first pitch. Carey swings and rocks one into left center field. Guerrero back to the track, to the wall. It is gone. A 3-run homer for Dylan Carey. And Nebraska's lead swells to 4-0.
McCanty's 1-0, and Squire swings and drives this one. Deep right center. It's gone, and we're tied! Abby Squires serves it over the fence in right center field to tie the game at 4.
Now, here is your host, Jessica Coody, on the Huskers Radio Network.
Hi, everyone. Happy March Madness to you. Hope everybody's bracket is holding up well here in the early goings. Not too many upsets. Had the one big one as McNeese State, the Cowboys, knock off Clemson in the first round. But for the most part, I don't really consider an 8-9 matchup an upset. So for the most part, going pretty much chalky, but we will see. Hopefully we have some fireworks coming up here in the evening session. The first game of the night session just kind of getting underway with Tennessee in action right now. So we got a full 2 hours coming up for you here tonight on Sports Nightly, and we have a fun show lined up. Damon Benning going to check in here in just a few minutes. It's been a little while since we've been able to have Damon on, so got a lot to talk about with him. Of course, basketball. We're going to talk some wrestling in action right now, and also some spring football, a little preview there because it's spring break week now, so a lot of the staff is able to get away, and so the players as well, and then they'll get back to action next week and hit the field for the first practices of spring football. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, some of the big storylines that we're looking for there. We also have Matt Coatney going to check in. Told you guys we were going to have him on to preview the matchup, dive into what the Huskers need to do to take on Louisville coming up in the first round tomorrow night, as Russ mentioned in the ticker. 5 o'clock tip, 4:30 pregame show. So we're going to talk to Matt Coatney, who's in Texas. He's with the team there, has taken in all the press conferences, has done all the digging for us. So he's going to let us know everything we need to know about the matchup there here in hour number 1 as well. In hour number 2, we've got some Husker gymnasts that are going to be in studios. We have senior night coming up tomorrow night here in Lincoln. So Chris Heiser, Taylor Christopoulos, who's been on the show before, is going to join us. Taylor is in the running for the Heisman of men's gymnastics. He's also on the national team. The USA national team is certainly going to be a guy that to watch for moving forward in the next several years. If we're talking the national team competing at Worlds and even the Olympics in LA. So we're going to chat with those guys as they get ready to celebrate Senior Day coming up tomorrow night. We're also going to hear from the president. We have Dr. Gold that's going to do another check-in. He's periodically going to check in with us here throughout the spring. So we're going to hear from him and the latest there from the president's office coming up in hour number 2. And we're going to hear from Dasan McCullough, who I had a chance to chat one-on-one with, again, prior to spring football hitting the field. So we'll chat with him in hour number 2 as well. Wrestling, currently after round 1, is tied for 4th overall in the team standings. They had 6 of their 9 guys advance in the winner's bracket. Right now, 125 in action. Caleb Smith he advanced in the first round, so he is in that 8-9 matchup right now, and so I'll try to keep an eye on that, let you know how that unfolds. We have Chris Mento also advanced. Antrell Taylor advanced. Ridge got a win. Brock Hardy got a major decision. So, and Silas Allred had a comeback for the ages. He was down 10-1 and then was able to come back and secure a victory. So 6 of the 9 advanced in the winner's bracket. Lenny Pinto unfortunately got upset, so he'll have some work to do in the wrestlebacks. And we heard Coach Manning telling us on Monday night that all of those points matter in the team standings, and a team trophy is important to this group. And so I heard him saying on the broadcast earlier that the top 3 teams in that finish get to take home a team trophy. And so Brock Hardy had mentioned that when we chatted with him. He really wants a team trophy. So if this team wants to finish top 3, they're going to need some of those guys that go through the wrestlebacks to rack up some points and do some damage there. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. But a good start, and again, tied for 4th, and round 2 just got underway. Saw Jordan Burroughs is on the call tonight. I thought he did a great job last year when he was on the call for ESPN, calling all the action. Obviously got a lot of knowledge and has been there, done that, won a national title. They actually showed some highlights of him winning one of his national championships. So he's on the call right now. You can listen to him as he calls the action on ESPN Plus. They've got quad box going on, so you can check out all that. But all right, so because we have a lot to get to, we're going to go ahead and get to our first break here. But on the other side of this, we're going to hear from DB. Damon Benning going to join us, and lots to get to with him, lots of sports to talk to. So keep it here and check out what Damon has to say about all that great stuff. So Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics.
Huskers fans, let's call a timeout on the court and in life. When the game gets tough, Nebraska stands together as a family, as a team. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. You're part of the Husker family, and every member is valued on and off the court. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your foundation and damaging your home. Cracks in walls and uneven floors are just a few signs your foundation is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
The signs are everywhere. It's time for Truck Month at your Midwest Ford dealers. Get $3,000 cash on Super Duty and save on Ford F-150. Both part of F-Series, America's best-selling truck lineup for 48 years. Hurry in, folks. These trucks are running. Drive a new Ford Super Duty with $3,000 cash or 1.9% financing. Only at your Midwest Ford dealers, driven by value.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
For farmers, sustainability is a way of life. 97% of farms are family-owned, and 95% are participating in conservation programs and using sustainable practices.
I'm Ann Meese, a farmer near Elgin, Nebraska. I grew up on this land, and we're dedicated to being good stewards and leaving it better for the next generation.
Since 1980, U.S. soybean farmers have boosted production by 130%, all while lowering emissions and improving land and water use. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your basement and damaging your home. Mold, cracks, and of course visible water are just a few signs your basement is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
If you've been looking for a reason to fill up your car with unleaded 88, how about this? Unleaded 88
can help you save big at the pump
and save the planet by cutting greenhouse gas emissions.
Any car 2001 or newer is approved to use unleaded 88. Speaking of good, it's made from corn, which is great for farmers.
As I was saying, if you need a reason to choose unleaded 88, there you have them. Unleaded 88. Engine smart, earth kind. Visit chooseunleaded88.com to learn more.
Welcome back inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, which is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Coody, and look who we found. Damon Benning. It's been a minute since we've had you on Sports Nightly, but we've got lots of things I feel like we need to catch up on, talk about, and so tonight's the night. You're back.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Anytime. And it's perfect time, too, right? A little March Madness, little Husker baseball, softball's going.
And March Madness.
And, of course, wrestling, right, which is my favorite.
I think you and I text more about wrestling than we do football.
Yeah, I know. It's like football, it's boring, and it's kind of neither here nor there. But you keep getting these interviews with these guys, and I always like the heads up because those guys are so interesting, and you get them to kind of go those weird places, and they're already kind of different. So it's cool when those guys make their appearance.
Okay, well, you said March Madness. Obviously, we got lots of basketball going on. We just saw the first really big upset as the Cowboys of McNeese take down Clemson. The ACC not looking great here to start this tournament. But what's your setup look like, first and foremost? Because I know you'll be keeping tabs on wrestling and basketball. So what's your setup look like for today?
So I'll use the laptop, the phone, and I love the quad box. So the quad box kind of lets me build what I want to. And as long as they're on kind of the same platforms, I get a little bit of wiggle room. But we had a meet and greet and a watch party all day today at Hurrdat, and I think 4 of the TVs had wrestling on, which, I mean, that's pretty good company in a 16 TV setup, and you got a lot of local action going on, and it's March Madness. So Nebraska wrestling and national wrestling is always going to get its due.
Where should we start? I guess let's start with wrestling since you just mentioned it. And Huskers, after round 1, are in 4th. They got some bonus point wins, some impressive wins. Silas Allred came back down 10-1, gets a pen. And then Lenny Pinto maybe a little disappointing, so he's going to have to battle back in the wrestlebacks and has some work to do there. But overall, I guess what were your big takeaways after round 1?
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. I'm obviously disappointed. In Pinto a little bit, but I know what I get with him, right? He's all in, all gas, no breaks. He's aggressive, and I got to take the good with the bad. I'm hoping Jess, going into this deal, I was hoping for maybe 6 All-Americas. I think we got a chance there, and I'm excited to see Cam McDaniel. I think he's come on like game busters. I don't know. Is it too optimistic? I was hoping for a top 4 finish. Some say as good as second. I don't know. I felt like, I talked to Coach Manning in depth this morning. I feel like, top 4 would be pretty good. Just give me those 6 All-Americas, and he does his best work in March, man. I'm pumped.
I think that's very doable. And they're sitting in 4th right now, and you've got some guys that I think are going to continue to be able to get bonus points. And then the key is what you do in wrestlebacks, as he talks a lot about. But I think you got a lot of guys that can advance pretty far, and I think this team would be disappointed if they were outside of the top 4, to be honest. And I think that's where the mindset is really, I think, shifted this year. They always have high expectations, but I feel like it's different this year with this group. They are going in there with some lofty goals that they truly believe that they can attain, and they've got the guys that can do it. They just have to bring out their best here over these next few days.
Yeah, I agree with you on the mind shift. I think what they were able to do in the Big Ten championships and kind of blowing past Iowa and gaining some confidence. You already wrestle in the best conference in the country. I could see where, man, if the goals are top 3 or 4, it's great. It's such a difficult sport.
Yeah.
Right. And I hate the seeding process. I was pretty bummed that Caleb Smith drew the 8. I just don't like how you can kind of wrestle a little bit of a soft schedule and have a good record and you're rewarded. So with wrestling, it's always a crapshoot. I mean, you breathe at the wrong time and all of a sudden it's over. I don't want to take a 3 or 4th place finish for granted, but I do think you're right in the fact this team really, really believes. It is a tough-minded team, and you already mentioned him. I mean, look no further than Allred. You and I have talked about him for months, right? Kind of where is he at and what's with the weight gain or the weight dropping and kind of the fluctuation and, the 2 year ago Silas. And you see a guy just battle back from 10-1 like no big deal. I think you're spot on with the way that they believe. And the cool thing about wrestling is they continue to evolve, right? The scoring has allowed 10-1 to kind of be like no big deal. We saw our guy Pinto, a month ago. It was 10-9 at the end of 1 after him being up, 10-1, and he almost gets near fold and then comes back to kind of win convincingly. Like anything can happen with this new scoring.
And you know what's crazy too, and I know I don't want to get too far ahead because it's about this year's team, but you can tell talking to Mark Manning that he's excited about next year's group too, because a lot of these guys are coming back, and the ones that they have to replace, you could tell he's excited about the ones they're replacing them with. So that's what's like exciting, I think, about this culture and this program and where it's headed. You can tell that there's a lot of excitement. Yes, we're excited about this year's team that has some real big potential, but next year's team as well. And this experience this year is going to play into what they can do next year too.
Yeah. And incredible depth, right? I mean, when Cale Lordson and some of these guys are just kind of feeling their way along, and Antrell Taylor will have another year under his belt. And I think you're right. Their depth is incredible, and that's the way that he and Coach Snyder and Coach Brewer, that's the way those guys built it, right? They wanted wrestle-offs to be really competitive. They wanted their depth to be top-notch where they can have some options. You look at a guy like Van D, who's got an invaluable experience, and he'll be back. The future is extremely bright. You usually don't see a coach like Coach Manning that's had as much success actually ramp up at this stage in his career. But since the recruiting has elevated a handful of years ago and he started the youth program, like this is just taken off. He's taken it to another level.
Okay, let's talk from March Madness to March Madness. I told you I was going to give you a hard time about North Carolina getting in, but I have less of an issue with North Carolina getting in the field than I do Texas and Oklahoma, and Texas proves they can't even get out of the first 4. But who do you have as your national champion? You think North Carolina can make a run?
You know my personality, so this makes perfect sense. All year, even in January, after they beat North Carolina convincingly on our morning show, I said, you ought to take a flyer on Florida. I like the way they're built. I think they've got a ton of options. And then as the as the season has kind of progressed, it's just turned into this deal where now everybody likes Florida. So what did I do, Jess? I went with Houston.
I like it.
I'm like, you know what? It's too much Florida love. I'm not going to take the Gator bait. It's really chalky at the end of my bracket, but I have Bama beating Duke, so I don't even have Duke in the Final Four. I'm an SEC honk, so I was not at all surprised, or ACC, excuse me. I was not at all surprised that they struggled. I didn't see Clemson getting beat, that's for sure. But, Creighton over Louisville, I'm a big Hepburn guy. I like Creighton a ton, so I was kind of torn there. But I don't know. I like Houston. Really good offensively. They got a couple of big shot makers like Cryer. And I just – too much Florida love. I don't like Duke. And Auburn's got a tough road to hoe. So I think when Auburn's playing at their best and Florida's playing at their best and Houston's playing at their best, probably advantage Auburn. But it's just too many peaks and valleys for them as a basketball team.
I like Houston, too. I like what Kelvin Sampson has built there at Houston. It's impressive, no doubt. Which Big Ten team do you have going the furthest?
Maryland.
I like that. I think that's what I have. I think I have them going the furthest, too.
I love their backcourt. I think they're underappreciated. And everybody talks about, Queen and Reese. I like Rice. I like Miguel. That is a really savvy backcourt. Now, the only thing that gives me pause is I don't know if Willard's made it past or to the second weekend. So they got to get over that hump, and they've got a tough draw. But, I take that back. I have Michigan State. And I have Michigan State and Maryland, I think, getting equally as far. I have a 1-2 with Michigan State, and I have a 4-5 with Maryland. I can't remember who I picked, but Michigan State to go the furthest, but probably not my dark horse. I like Maryland.
Okay. All right, let's switch gears and talk some spring football because it's spring break, but when spring break wraps up next week, they'll hit the field for the first few practices of spring football. We heard from Coach Rule last week, right, and a few of the transfers, which they were all really impressive. But what are, I guess, some of your big storylines that you're going to be watching for, some of the big things that you'll be looking for in this spring practice?
So 3 things, and I can't tell you. And we've got a great relationship, and we didn't talk ahead of time, so I was glad to hear Coach Rule kind of double down. The number one thing for me when we came back from New York and in January was I felt like if Nebraska was going to go far this year, it had to start at the quarterback spot. I wanted to see Dylan really take the next step in terms of taking not only the reins of this offense, but being the guy that those players see first at the stadium, last to leave, elite level shape. I really wanted to see his development because if he develops as an incoming 4.5, 5-star quarterback, Nebraska can really use that as kind of as a poster child for development. So his getting better, Coach Rule doubling down on him getting in elite level shape and continuing to do those kinds of things is number one for me. Number 2 is the development of the D-line. A lot of young guys, you got some new bodies in. Lefotu and George won't be around for spring ball, which was a little disappointing, but that gives opportunity to guys like Van Pop and Keona Davis. And, I'm interested to see the emergence of Cam Linhart after not having an extremely healthy year last year. What they can do with Mason Goldman. Some of these guys, we saw Choa come on. So D-line is number 2 for me. And then I think 3, I know a lot of people want me to say secondary, but I don't worry about those guys. Ton of talent. I liked it almost every coach of the new guys. I thought it was interesting, almost to a man, whether it was Snow, Addison Williams, Coach Butler, continuing to say, you know what? Our young guys back there, they can run. We have good young athleticism in the secondary. So that was kind of calming, right, for a guy like myself. And so I'm going to go with the wide receivers room. It's had almost a completely different remake. You've got a lot of new faces. I think Coach Shorts is a pro's pro. I mean, he's a coordinator in waiting. I love the way he carries himself. So the wide receiving core in their development is probably the third for the storylines.
I said this all along. I'm really interested in seeing how the O-line looks because you go back to
what's left of them, right?
Well, yeah, but I think that's part of it is, okay, we keep hearing about some of this young talent. Well, the guys that are out are the guys that we know about. So, I remember sitting with Donovan Raiola at the end of the season, and he said, hey, some of our young guns are coming along. And then Dana Holgerson pointed that out without me even asking about it during bowl preparations when I had talked to him about how excited he is about that group. And so I think we're actually going to get a chance to see some of these guys that we've been hearing about and their progress a lot during spring ball because of the amount of them that are going to be out in spring.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. I thought they got a lot out of Gatula a year ago, even though he was probably a year away. Right? I think ideally he would have taken another year to play. Sam Sledge, who I thought was one of the, if not the best offensive lineman in that class, gets a chance to play. Justin Evans-Jenkins can move around now, and they get a chance to work out with a guy like Rocco just to kind of see where he is in terms of his leadership. I thought his press conference was interesting, right? Because I don't know if it changed your expectation level, but I did think it was interesting to hear him kind of be real candid and honest about, hey, I just think Notre Dame wanted to go in a different direction, and I needed a little more assurance in terms of them believing in me in the direction that they wanted to go. Almost like it was written on, the writing was on the wall that he may not be one of their guys this year. And I didn't want that to detract from Nebraska fans in terms of their expectations, because I think he's another big, strong guy that can be a good road grader. But you're right. There are a lot of guys. You get Canuck back. He's healthy. It is definitely an opportunity for guys to step up and kind of show what they've got. And we already know I think you'd agree. Although tight ends is close, they're underappreciated. That offensive line group is pretty tight-knit. They walk the same, they talk the same. We watched them march on the bus at 5:30 in the morning, going to practice the same. Like, I expect those guys to be pretty well oiled.
Okay, so last thing, I said this the other night. I said I'd asked you. I think it's still maybe a work in progress, but we're going to be covering the spring day festivities. This, what's the official name of it? But there is on the schedule potential to have the Hall of Famers Husker Greats game. And there was a rumor that you might be participating. Can you confirm or deny at this point? Are you still trying to figure it out?
My loyalty is obviously with the network, so I'll do whatever the Husker Radio Network needs me to do. I know Coach Rule and I have kind of joked back and forth about would I do media, would I do the old heads, would I be a former player? I don't know, Jess. I'll do whatever I think.
We've got to see if you still have it. You just do at least one handoff.
Yeah, I'd take one. They probably have, in 7-on-7, they'd probably have to throw it to me, which is what I wish they always would have done. When I was playing at Nebraska, instead of handing it to me so much, this offense would actually be fun to play it and catch a few passes. But I'm just looking forward to it. I think, the day's pretty cool. You've got the huge garage sale, which is what I'm calling it. You got the volleyball game late. I think it was very strategic how they wanted to make it a day-long deal where they could kind of showcase the athletics at the university, and I'm all in.
I'm excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and even just the schedule of events just with the football, a couple of hours, I think is going to be really fun and exciting and lots to kind of take in. But, yeah, like you mentioned, an all-day kind of celebration. It's the Husker Games presented by FMBO, and tickets are on sale now if you want to be a part. However you want to be a part of the day. Again, as mentioned, it's an all-day deal. But I'm excited. So I think you need to we gotta make sure we know if you're in or out on I think we might have a good substitute, which we're not going to break that news yet because that's not confirmed yet. But I think we do.
And I'm actually excited for that surprise too. So I'm a huge fan. So whatever I have to do to showcase that guy, I'm in.
Okay, so hopefully we'll see. I guess we'll have more information for you. It's still TBD on if Damon's going to be on the roster or not competing on during the Husker games, but we'll look forward to at least maybe we got to have one play call designed somehow. If that's the case, but
if, you know, if the play will be left out, don't blow a hamstring. That's going to be the thing.
Oh, great stuff. Go back to enjoying. Hey, we got the football setup going on in here with the TVs, by the way, with all the games. So we're not lacking in our setup either.
You know I'm jealous. Just make sure, like, you got to let me host or co-host or whatever it is that I do when you and I can seamlessly kill 30 minutes. I want to be on with the wrestlers. When you get those guys to just talk and babble and tell jokes, I want to be a part of that. That's the only thing I've got left to accomplish in terms of crossing things off my bucket list.
Well, we'll have to, hopefully we've got a couple of national champions to talk to that you can come on down and we can have a round table with the national champions.
Yeah, and if we do, you guys heard her say it out loud. I want the invite. I just want to be in the same room.
We'll get you on that invite. All right, great stuff as always. DB, appreciate you spending some time with us here on Sports Nightly tonight.
You got it anytime.
And Damon Benning joining us here on Sports Nightly. Coming up next, how about from DB to the Coat Man? Matt Coatney joining us next in Texas to preview the matchup between Nebraska women's basketball and Louisville. Keep it here on Sports Nightly.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
If you've been looking for a reason to fill up your car with unleaded 88, how about this? Unleaded 88
can help you save big at the pump.
And save the planet by cutting greenhouse gas emissions.
Any car 2001 or newer is approved to use unleaded 88. Speaking of good, it's made from corn, which is great for farmers.
As I was saying, if you need a reason to choose unleaded 88, there you have them. Unleaded 88. Engine smart, earth kind. Visit chooseunleaded88.com to learn more.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect that water is the reason parts of your concrete have gotten so uneven. Walkway tripping hazards, sinking pool deck, cracked driveways are dangerous threats to everyone's safety. But there's one way to learn how your concrete can be lifted. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
Nebraska soybeans power everyday products, from Goodyear tires and Skechers shoes to soy-based turf and fire suppressants. These innovations replace petroleum and utilize other components of the soybean, leading to more sustainable products worldwide.
I'm Doug Sadoff, a farmer near Trumbull, Nebraska. Thanks to cutting-edge research, soybeans are now in everything from tires to turf. It's amazing to see how these advancements are unlocking new potential for our crops.
Soybeans are a win for every product and everyone. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
Husker fans, let's call a timeout on the court and in life. When the game gets tough, Nebraska stands together as a family, as a team. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. You're part of the Husker family, and every member is valued on and off the court. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain, Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
Welcome back inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, which is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Well, it is the eve of the NCAA tournament kicking off for Nebraska women's basketball as they are the 10 seed taking on Louisville Friday in Fort Worth at TCU, and that's where we find our very own Matt Coatney in Texas. How is Texas treating you, Coatney?
Well, you know, we had a hard time getting out of Lincoln because of the blizzards. We were very happy to get here, and anytime you're in the big dance, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of press conferences the day before, catching up with some old friends, and so Huskers are very excited. I'm pretty excited, so it's great being here.
Also, very nicely done for those that are watching on our YouTube stream on the backdrop, utilizing the March Madness backdrop there. Well, how has besides the travel issues a little bit, how has the week been for this team, the preparations leading up to tip-off with Louisville?
I think this team is focused. I think they're very excited. They're very enthusiastic. You know, I think it starts with Alexis Markowski, this being her last go-around, and then the other seniors, Kendall Coley, Kendall Moriarty, Bertie Rimdahl. They know this is their last go-around. And then I think most of this team was in Corvallis, Oregon last year, and they know what this is like. This isn't a new thing to most of the team. So those are the people that are really leading the excitement, but also the focus on this very, very tough first-round game.
All right, well, let's dive into it, Louisville. Obviously, there's some connections there with the head coach, Jeff Walz, and you said it when I was asking you about it. Like, he just does not lose first-round games, although they did lose last year, and then he said that that's been motivation. But I guess let's first start about, you know, with Coach Walz, what the job that he's done. Why do they not lose in the first round?
Well, Jeff Walz is an excellent coach. I mean, he goes all the way back to when he was an assistant under Paul Sandiford at Nebraska, when he coached Amy Gusso-Williams, who was a player. He was successful as an assistant at Minnesota under Brenda Fries, won a national championship as an assistant at Maryland with Brenda Fries. He's been to 4 Final Fours, 2 national championship games. So he recruits excellent players, but he also knows how to coach them up. And, you know, he talked about it during today's press conference, how much motivation, especially his seniors have. And to tell those 8 freshmen on Louisville, you know, how they don't want to repeat what happened last year. They had a big lead in the first round last year and lost. So he's an excellent coach. He recruits very well, and he's a veteran. So that's a lot of the reason that they've been very successful in this tournament.
All right, well, tell us about this Louisville team. It sounds like they're going to be healthy going into this one, but what do they do well? What are maybe some areas that the Huskers can take advantage of?
Well, they are deep, and I did bring up they've got 8 freshmen and a transfer, but their leading scorer, Jada Curry, you know, when you say Curry and I tell you she wears number 30, you start thinking about Steph Curry, and her game will remind you a little bit of Steph. She releases the ball very, very quickly. She's a dynamic three-point shooter, doesn't really dribble penetrate. She's more of an outside shooter. But Jeff Walz said today during the press conference, he had to set her down earlier this year and say, if you pass up a shot, you're going to sit next to me the rest of the game. And she stopped passing up shots. She's a dynamic scorer. Missed 2 games in the ACC tournament due to a shoulder injury, but she's back now. They've got a dynamic freshman in Taj Roberts, who leads the team in steals, and boy, I just love her game. But they can match up very well with Nebraska's height on the inside. And it starts with Olivia Cochran, who's a senior at 6'3", 6'4", good rebounders. So they've got length on the inside. They've got speed on the wings. They've got dynamic three-point shooting. They switch their defenses up quite a bit. They will try and disrupt you and dismay you and trap you. And they're a complete team. They're young. This is a team that really isn't, I don't think, Final Four ready, but they certainly are NCAA tournament ready, and they're going to be a big test for Nebraska.
So what are the things that Nebraska has got to do well to be able to potentially win this game and move on? Well, avoid live ball turnovers.
Jeff Walz is excellent at a couple of things. He's great at changing defenses when you least expect it. Expect during every timeout for Nebraska to say, okay, here's what Louisville's been doing, here's where we're going to attack it, and then they come out in something different. If he can get Nebraska out of focus 2 or 3 possessions after timeouts and wins the game by 2 or 3 possessions, that's a win for them. But they're very good at turning you over. If Nebraska turns it over, it needs to be kicking the ball into the stands and a whistle, not a live ball that goes for a layup on the other end. And then it's kind of a broken record, but you have to out-rebound Louisville. And this is not the best Louisville rebounding team that Jeff Walz has had. They're pretty low nationally in the rankings in overall rebounding, but they are a great offensive rebounding team. So when I say rebounding, limit them to 1 shot at the basket. If they miss a shot, Nebraska has to clear the glass. And so that's where I think it kind of starts with a path to winning the game.
There's a lot of pieces that have to play their part, but, Britt Prince in her first NCAA tournament, what does she need to do? What are some things that the Huskers need her to do well to be able to manage this game and manage this Louisville defense?
Well, I think stay within herself. Be Britt Prince. Don't try to be anybody else. Don't try to be bigger than the moment. Jeff Walz was hilarious during his press conference today. He said that, Louisville had recruited Britt Prince, and he said, no one has tried slowing her down this way. She's known for having long hair. He says, we're going to go out on the floor with scissors and try to cut her hair off and see if that disrupts her. And it was kind of funny when he was talking about it. So I think if Britt just stays within herself, doesn't try to do too much, that's what Nebraska needs her to do, and then have a great defensive game, whoever she gets matched up on, because Louisville has length, size, and speed on the wings. Those big, long arms and active hands, she can make a big impact defensively.
You kind of hit on this at the beginning, but having some players that have been to the NCAA tournament and won, also have won multiple Big Ten tournaments, have advanced in the Big Ten tournament. How much can that bode well for Nebraska, even in this matchup? We're probably not. I've said this a couple different times. It seems like everybody's just pointing to the Haley Van Lith matchup with Louisville and not really expecting much out of Nebraska. But how much, with this experience that they've had and finding out how to win both at the conference level and then winning and advancing in this tournament a year ago, how much can that bode well for Nebraska?
Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think sometimes a program has to have gone through a couple of NCAA tournaments to understand it's not about just getting here. It's surviving and advancing. And Nebraska did that last year, as you said. They've done it in a couple of Big Ten tournaments. And it starts with the leadership of the team. And that's not just Alexis Markowski, but that's people like Logan Nisley, who's become a great rebounder that you don't really think about, and Callan Hake, who's been through the wars now a couple of years with this team. So expecting to win and knowing that if you get behind like they did at Maryland this year doesn't mean the game is over is huge for this Nebraska team. So experience, especially in this tournament, will pay big dividends. I think the teams you see that make big runs in this tournament have largely been there before, and that's going to help Nebraska.
What number NCAA tournament is this for you, Coat?
Oh, wow. I don't even know. Man, going back to my days, are you talking about just Nebraska or my days at Missouri State? I don't know. It's probably about my 17th or 18th. It just means I'm old, Jeff. That's what it means. I got to count them up, I guess. I'm going to say 15, 16, or 17. I don't know. I really don't know.
There's some homework for you before you get in the air for the pregame show tomorrow. But, it doesn't get any better, right, than March Madness NCAA tournament and to have a team that you get to watch play in this thing.
It is my favorite time of the year. If you can't get excited for March Madness. I don't know, what are you doing? It's so much fun being around this team this year. I always say their first team all bus ride. They enjoy being around each other. I had a fun time at breakfast this morning with the team. They're just goofy in a good way. There's a lot of leadership, and this is really a lot of fun. It's fun for me, catching up with people I don't normally see, going to places we don't. This is the first time I've been in a team's arena that's in the Big 12 that I've never been in because of all those years we were in the Big 12. TCU was in another league, so it's kind of a new experience. It's hard for me to pick up new arenas this year. I picked up 2 new ones, so I'm pretty excited to be here. I love the NCAA tournament.
Last thing, just what can you just say about the job that Amy Williams has done with this group this year? I mean, we know she's a good coach, but I feel like just the way that she's been able to keep this group together and still be back for another NCAA tournament, she's done a heck of a job this year.
Well, I think it's her best coaching job, Jess. And, it's real low-hanging fruit, and fans say it to me all the time, and I've been interviewed a lot this week. People want to talk about the injury to Natalie Potts and the injury to Allison Widener and the late-season injury to Britt Prince. But Amy Williams had to start over with the backcourt that didn't have Jazz Shelley, who was such a big part of this program for 3 years. And so learning to play without Jazz, who was going to be the focal point, where's those points going to come from, taking a new freshman point guard and putting her into the lineup, and those injuries that I talked about. I don't know how anybody can't look at what Amy Williams did. 10 wins in the Big Ten, another NCAA tournament berth, a run in the Big Ten tournament. I think it's her best coaching job.
I would have to agree. All right, great stuff. Matt Coody and Jeff Grease will be on the air for us. Starting 4:30, right, for the pregame?
4:30 Central, absolutely.
And 5 o'clock tip in the NCAA tournament, Nebraska and Louisville in round 1. Code, as always, great stuff. Thanks for being here with us on Sports Nightly.
Thanks, Jeff. Stay safe.
All right, we're going to step aside for a break. We've got more to come coming up right after this.
Hey, Huskers, it's a new day in Nebraska. Manzer Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska.
The signs are everywhere. It's time for Truck Month at your Midwest Ford dealers. Get up to $7,000 cash on F-150 and save on Ford Super Duty. Both part of F-Series, America's best-selling truck lineup for 48 years. Hurry in, folks. These trucks are running. Drive a new Ford F-150 with up to $7,000 cash or 1.9 financing plus $4,250 cash. Only at your Midwest Ford dealers, driven by value.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
If you've been looking for a reason to fill up your car with unleaded 88, how about this? Unleaded 88
can help you save big at the pump.
And save the planet by cutting greenhouse gas emissions.
Any car 2001 or newer is approved to use unleaded 88. Speaking of good, it's made from corn, which is great for farmers.
As I was saying, if you need a reason to choose unleaded 88, there you have them. Unleaded 88. Engine smart, earth kind. Visit chooseunleaded88.com to learn more.
Huskers fans, let's call a timeout on the court and in life. When the game gets tough, Nebraska stands together as a family, as a team. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. You're part of the Husker family, and every member is valued on and off the court. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
Welcome back. Final segment here of hour number 1 of Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Coody, and here is What's on Tap, brought to you by Michelob Ultra. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. We've got a 3-game series with Husker baseball. They continue that Cali road swing. They're at USC tomorrow night. Game 1, 8:30 first pitch. Nick and Ben will be on the call for you. They'll be on the air at 8 o'clock for the pregame show. Saturday, 4 o'clock, and Sunday, 2 o'clock softball will be here at home inside Bowlin Stadium for their first Big Ten series of the season, hosting Minnesota Friday, tomorrow night, game 1, 5 o'clock. Nate Rohr will be on the call and on the air for you at the pregame show starting around 4:45. Saturday, 1 o'clock, and Sunday, noon. And it's a special one because it is the annual Bark in the Park Day. So have some fun giveaways for your pups, lots of good causes surrounding it. And once again, this softball team's a big dog team. They got a lot of dogs in the team, so it's a fun day for them. I know a lot of them bring their family members, bring their dogs out, so it should be a fun day. So bring your dog on out and get on out to watch Husker softball noon on Sunday. Women's tennis also at home Saturday and Sunday. Number 18 Wisconsin here in Lincoln noon on Saturday. Then they'll have Minnesota at noon on Sunday. Men's gymnastics, they have their senior night final home meet of the season tomorrow night, 7 o'clock against number 5 Michigan. Huskers are ranked number 3 in the country, so this is going to be a great battle. We're going to hear from a couple of the seniors that are going to be honored tomorrow night. Coming up here in hour number 2, but they've got a lot of giveaways. They got some T-shirts, some posters, so it should be a fun night there inside the Devaney Center. Women's gymnastics, they hit the road for, it's postseason time for them. They are in the Big Ten Championships, 4 o'clock on Saturday, and you can watch all of that action on the Big Ten Network. Again, that's what's on tap, brought to you by Michelob Ultra. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. And I cannot forget, but we just talked about it, 5 o'clock for Nebraska women's basketball in the NCAA tournament, taking on Louisville, and 4:30 for the pregame show once again there. Had a couple of texts come in wanted me to ask a couple of questions for Damon Benning. Andy in Phoenix said, is Terry going to only play football, or will he wrestle for the Huskers? So talking about Michael Terry, or Terry, who just finished out a great wrestling career, a high school wrestling career, Tyson Terry, and he told me actually on signing day that he is not going to wrestle. So unless it's a situation like Nash, where maybe later on he gets the bug and wants to maybe try it out, but I think he's, coming off the injury, going to get healthy. He told me, going into it, that his plan was not to wrestle, just to play football. So, and then Mike said, can you ask DB, does Nebraska have to have a 1K rusher and or wide receiver in order to win 8, 9, or more wins? And I did get his answer to this. He texted it in. He said, no, but they may have 2 rushers, 1750 or so. So not necessarily. He says he thinks they have to rush for over 2,000 as a team, though. So there you go. There you have it. We have a great game going on here in the NCAA tournament, Arkansas and Kansas. Currently, Arkansas leading Kansas 43-40 with less than 2 minutes left in the first half. So that's a battle. Figured it would be a battle. Also, we have an update in the bracket. I wanted to give a shout-out State of Art, and our intern, Jacob Schrantz, leading the way. They are tied for first place here in the early goings. You just heard me talk to Matt Coody. He's in the challenge. He and I are both tied for 9th, along with Camden Cone, with a bunch of folks there in that 9th spot. But again, it's still early. We've got a long ways to go. Coming up, hour number 2, got lots of great stuff here to come. We're going to hear from the president, Dr. Gold, at another check-in with him. Going to hear from a couple of those seniors from men's gymnastics, and Dasan McCullough, the transfer from Oklahoma, has been a linebacker, played a little bit all over for the Oklahoma defense, but wants to move more to the outside and be more of a pass rusher. So we're going to chat with him. I had a chance to visit with him one-on-one last week, so we're going to hear from him just before the Huskers take the field for spring football. So at a busy second hour, come on back. Hour number 2 of Sports Nightly coming up right after this.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Husker fans, let's call a timeout on the court and in life. When the game gets tough, Nebraska stands together as a family, as a team. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. You're part of the Husker family, and every member is valued on and off the court. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
The signs are everywhere. It's time for Truck Month at your Midwest Ford dealers. Get $3,000 cash on Super Duty and save on Ford F-150. Both part of F-Series, America's best-selling truck lineup for 48 years. Hurry in, folks. These trucks are running. Drive a new Ford Super Duty with $3,000 cash or 1.9% financing. Only at your Midwest Ford dealers, driven by value.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your crawl space and damaging your home. Musty smells, sagging floors, mold are just a few signs your crawl space is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
Good evening. I'm Russ Brown, and tonight's ticker is brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. 7 members of the Nebraska women's basketball team earned academic All-Big Ten honors. Alexis Markowski earned her accolades for the 3rd time in her career. Kendall Coley also earning all-academic honors, this for the 4th time in her career. Kendall Moriarty, Allison Widener, Callan Hake, Logan Nisley, Jessica Petrie, and Natalie Potts also took home academic honors. Nebraska tips off the NCAA tournament against Louisville tomorrow at 5. You can hear the broadcast right here on the HRN with Matt Coatney and Jeff Greash starting at 4:30. Third-ranked Nebraska men's gymnastics will be in action tomorrow night against number 5 Michigan. The matchup gets underway at the Bob Devaney Sports Center at 7 o'clock. Fans attending the meet will receive a gymnastics Herbie Husker t-shirt. And the 21st-ranked softball team welcomes Minnesota this weekend for their conference home opener. The first game of the series gets underway at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Nate Roy will have the call, and you can hear that on Huskers.com and also on the app. Call a timeout. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Up next, hour number 2 of Sports Nightly, right here on the Husker Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
Rice, inside, Buchton Gel, extra pass, Wooster, 3, no good. Rebound, Gary, put back up and in. Gary high in the air for the offensive carom. We've got a 2-point game.
High drama in Indianapolis. Hank bounces
There it
in.
is.
Layup for Jessica Petrie. Off the assist from Hank. Timeout, Illinois. The Big Red leads by 3. You can't draw up a better inbound play than Callan Hank to Jessica Petrie.
Brandenburg set at the belt. The first pitch. Harry swings and rocks one into left center field. Guerrero back to the track, to the wall. It is gone. A 3-run homer for Dylan Carey. And Nebraska's lead swells to 4-0.
McCanty's 1-0, and Squire swings and drives this one. Deep right center. It's gone, and we're tied! Abby Squires serves it over the fence in right center field to tie the game at 4.
Now, here is your host, Jessica Coody, on the Huskers Radio Network.
And welcome back. Hour number 2 of Sports Nightly. Got a quick update to pass along for you regarding Husker wrestling. Appreciate Jim Bunch texting in for us and keeping us updated. Jacob Van D with the convincing consolation win, and Brock Hardy with the tech fall to go to 2-0. So he advances in the winner's bracket, and more Huskers to come here tonight. So as they look to add to that team total, and also individual national titles potentially for several of these Huskers who certainly have the hopes and potential to do some big things there in Philadelphia at the NCAA championships. All right. Well, I recently had a chance to chat one-on-one with Dasan McCullough, the transfer from Oklahoma. He's played a lot of different spots in the defense over his career. He was a freshman All-American at Indiana his first year and then played 2 seasons at Oklahoma. So had a chance to chat with him one-on-one to see how things are going for him here in Lincoln. Well, welcome to Lincoln. How are you settling in?
Settling in well. I'm really liking it so far.
Okay, take me through your decision process. You entered the portal. What was it about Nebraska that stood out to you when you came here?
I would say like the amount of resources they had, and really like the community like around Nebraska. Like it's like a special football community. Like it's like everything to everyone in Lincoln. So that like really stood out to me as well.
What about defensively? I guess you're with Coach Dvorak, right?
Yes. Coach Simpson is my position coach. Playing with the Jacks. I feel like me being closer to the ball is more of my strengths. So being able to showcase that and do it here, I can't wait for it.
How has it been getting to know Coach Simpson?
Oh, it's been great. He's a real relationship dude. He cares, about your mental health. Like he's a caring dude, and I feel like that's kind of what separates him from other coaches is he's not just about the X's and O's.
You're obviously a versatile defensive player, so how did those conversations go on where they wanted to put you and where they wanted to play you in this defense?
Yeah, so originally they asked me like what I wanted to play, and I don't have any type of preference actually position-wise, but I knew I wanted to be closer to the ball, and they lost some guys coming off the edge, so they needed some guys to get to the quarterback, and I feel like that fits in with my skill set perfectly.
Why has that become something that you are good at, elite at, that's what you do well on the football field?
To be honest with you, I don't really know, because in high school I was a safety, so I was never super close to the ball until I got to college actually, but I think just with my size and athleticism, it kind of just comes naturally. So, being here with Coach Simpson and being able to work with all the guys is kind of just, sharpening my craft now that I'm in a set position.
Oh, that's great. Just with Coach Butler taking over the defense, what has the process been for this entire defense? They knew him obviously last year, but as he took over as the DC, what are some of the things you guys have been trying to do learning this defense before you hit the field?
Sure, yeah, just learning adjustments, new calls, stuff like that. It's kind of new. Everything is brand new for me. Some of the guys, they say there's little tweaks and stuff like that, but he's making it simple for the guys. He wants us to play fast and just play with our heads on fire. So I feel like he has a good plan for us.
How did you approach coming in, being that you're a guy that has had some experience, you're an older guy, but, mixing in with a group of guys? How did you approach that and wanting to establish yourself as a leader?
Yeah, I feel like, your first step of establishing yourself as a leader is doing it by example. I didn't want to become a guy just coming in here talking and doing all that. I wanted to show them that I'm really about it on the field first. So that's just earning their respect through workouts, meetings, things like that. And then, around this time is where I can start being a little bit more vocal, getting on guys during mat drills and stuff like that. So I feel like it's a process, but I'm not forcing it. I'm not forcing it.
So being that you talked about the things that you want to do with this defense, were there things, I guess, physically you wanted to get accomplished here before you hit the field for spring practice?
For sure. Just weight-wise, I wanted to keep putting on weight and muscle. And, everything else is really going to come with my game. If you turn on my tape, you see my athleticism, you see the mentality I play with. So just really sharpening up things like that now that I'm at a set position where I know I'm going to play.
Speaking of the athleticism, yeah, or if you saw the dunk contest, are you repeating that for the team competitions this week?
We'll see. I've been told that I should, so we'll see. I probably will, though.
Were you a big basketball guy growing up?
I was up until about my sophomore year of high school. I was huge on basketball. I thought that's what I was going to do, so for sure, I love it.
So how was that, being in Pinnacle Bank Arena doing a dunk contest?
So they did not tell me that it was actually with all those people there. I thought it was just like a team, kind of like how it is this week, more of a team competition. So I didn't know that part until I started getting text messages about meeting them in the tunnel and stuff like that. So the crowd is what threw me off, but it was really fun. I'm really glad I did it.
Are you doing any of the other competitions for your team this week?
I'm not going to say too much, but I am a heavy part of the competitions this week for sure. I am.
Feeling good about your group's potential?
Yeah, my group's potential. We got off slow yesterday. But today we started to reel it back. So I feel like we're gonna make a comeback. We got some stuff going on tonight too.
That's awesome. It's fun talking to guys the last couple of years when they have this competition. It seems to really bring guys together. How important is that?
For sure. I've never done anything like this at any of my past schools, so it's new for me, but I definitely can see what you get out of it. You're going through a lot with your guys. You're here for a while in the morning, you meet back up at night. But here's the thing, it's not just stuff around the facility, it's around Lincoln, with your team. So I feel like that's also a different feel too. Now you're kind of out of the box kind of with your teammates, so you get to learn about them.
How about the new facilities, or the facilities over there you get to be in?
Yeah, the facilities are crazy. I'm still learning my way around here, actually. I get lost a lot, so I've never been somewhere this big. It's great. It's great.
You're a guy that's been through spring football before. What are kind of the goals? What needs to happen for you personally, but for the defense to get accomplished what you need to get accomplished here throughout these next couple months?
I feel like for us to get where we need to go, the defense has to just consistently be on the same page, communication-wise. I feel like in spring ball, sometimes you could lack on the little details that matter in the season because you're kind of focused on your individual craft, trying to get better at this, that, and the third. But for us to become a great defense, we're going to have to be on point with all of our installs. Guys can't be making the same mistakes. It's stuff like that. We're just going to have to hold each other to a high standard, I feel like. And I'm really, me personally, I'm just going to keep doing what I do, but I'm more so worried about the team and getting us ready.
Okay, that was Dasan McCullough, the transfer, going to be outside linebacker, listed as linebacker on the roster, but he's impressive. I was really impressed with all of the transfers we had a chance to chat with the other day, but if you're watching on the YouTube stream, you can see he's a big dude. He's really tall, so he's going to look intimidating in those pads, that's for sure. But do not have the schedule yet set in stone on practice scheduling and when we will have media availability, when we'll have more, but obviously with spring football practices starting, we'll be hearing a lot more from these guys coming up here over the next few weeks leading up to the Husker games coming up in April. So should be exciting. Can't wait to see this team back out in action on the field. All right, going to get to a break here in hour number 2 of Sports Nightly. Coming up next, we're going to talk some men's gymnastics as they are set to have their senior day final meet of the regular season, final home meet too, as they take on number 5 Michigan. So we're going to chat a little bit about that with a couple of the seniors that will be honored. So keep it here on Sports Nightly. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
If there's one thing Nebraska's known for, it's our beef. And Nebraska soybeans feed a lot of them, and even more pigs and chickens.
I'm Jason Pinky, a farmer near Craig, Nebraska. Soybeans are vital for feeding our livestock, and they're also a powerhouse protein source for people worldwide. Our world needs protein, and Nebraska soybeans are making a difference.
From tailgate grills to global plates, farmers deliver affordable, nutritious protein to build muscle and energy for everyone. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
The signs are everywhere. It's time for Truck Month at your Midwest Ford dealers. Get up to $7,500 cash on F-150 and save on Ford Super Duty. Both part of F-Series, America's best-selling truck lineup for 48 years. Hurry in, folks. These trucks are running. Drive a new Ford F-150 with up to $7,500 cash or 1.9 financing plus $4,750 cash. Only at your Midwest Ford dealers. Driven by value.
Want to boost Nebraska's economy and help the planet? It's as easy as filling up your tank. Switch to soy-based biodiesel to cut greenhouse gases by up to 74% and support biodiesel growth.
I'm Greg Anderson, a farmer near Newman Grove, Nebraska, and biodiesel has transformed our farm. It cuts emissions, raises the cetane number, and improves fuel lubricity.
So ask for biodiesel where you fill up. It benefits our air, economy, and Nebraska soybean farmers. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
Huskers fans, let's call a timeout on the court and in life. When the game gets tough, Nebraska stands together as a family, as a team. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. You're part of the Husker family, and every member is valued on and off the court. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your foundation and damaging your home. Cracks in walls and uneven floors are just a few signs your foundation is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
Welcome back inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, which is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Coody, and coming up tomorrow night is senior night for your third-ranked men's gymnastics team right here in Lincoln, taking on Michigan. It's a top 5 showdown on senior night, and we've got a couple of the seniors that are going to be honored here tomorrow night, Taylor Christopoulos and Chris Heiser. Thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for having us.
Can you believe it's senior night?
Man, it goes by fast. 4 years is pretty quick. Yep. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you said it goes by pretty quick, but like you think about all the time you've had here. I mean, what's it going to be like, the emotions?
Yeah, I think it'll probably be all bottled up. It'll probably be until the end of the meet. You know, you're focused and you're ready to compete. So that professionalism kind of kicks in a little bit, but definitely for sure by the end of the last routine that you get to perform that'll probably take over. The emotions will hit in there.
Taylor, have you thought about this be your last time competing inside the Devaney Center?
Yeah, I kind of thought about it yesterday during practice. I know my emotions kind of hit after the fact. And like, oh yeah, it's not a big deal. And then after you realize, you're like, oh man, that was my last time. So I guess preparing beforehand, before the meet, that like, this is a special one and got to take it that way, so.
Taylor, you've been on the program before, but I did want to go back and just let fans kind of hear your story a little bit, your background. Chris, let's start with you, your recruiting journey. Why did you end up at Nebraska, and what have you loved the most about being a Husker?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was part of that COVID group, so we didn't get that full recruiting experience. So I never actually took a trip to Nebraska. Our assistant coach, John, actually took his computer and Zoom called me around the whole stadium. He walked me through like a normal day as a Husker. And so I just kind of fell in love with the program, fell in love with the team, even though I wasn't able to physically meet them. They just kind of welcomed me in with loving arms, and just made the decision to jump out here to Nebraska. So I'm originally from Massachusetts, so I'm an East Coast guy, and coming to the Midwest was definitely a big switch up, but I wouldn't change anything for the world.
What have you loved the most about being a Husker?
Oh man, just the supporting cast around everyone, from academics to athletics, and then to everything in between. You get, like, we'll go out to California and we'll have a huge Husker fan base out there saying, like, we'll be in the airports being like, go Big Red, and you never know how broad and how big the Husker support base is until you actually are part of that, and It's just beautiful to see.
Yeah. Taylor, remind people of your journey out of Utah, how you got here.
Yeah. I'm from Layton, Utah, so 20 minutes north of Salt Lake. I just got recruited out of high school. Slowly built my way up through the national junior Olympic route. And then, Chuck and John reached out to me. I had an old teammate here, so that really helped with the connection, Dylan King. And then they recruited me from the same gym. Took a trip out here. I loved it. Yanni on the team. Right now, we're on the same trip. And then we ended up being the only 2 that year. And I've loved my experience here. I mean, obviously, I'm a 5th year, so I chose to come back. But, there's nothing better than Nebraska. So,
where do you feel like you guys have grown the most in your time here under this staff, just competing with this program?
Man, I think probably just learning a lot about myself and how I work in a bigger group. You know, there's some times where you just gotta bite your tongue at times to learn what's best in the moment, but also knowing when to like speak up for myself and learning from other people around me, because the difference in high school gymnastics versus college gymnastics is that you come in as a freshman, you know, you're 18, 19 years old, and you look up and there's like a 22-year-old senior who seems like this absolute adult, and you're like, man, this guy is a grown-up. And so you're just there and you're watching and you're observing and you're like, I need to take in as much information as I can from this person. And when I was a freshman, we had a 6th year, Jake Benet, he's from Canada, and I was looking up to him. I'm like, man, I got to compete with this guy. This guy is like, I'm just a kid. I'm a freshman in here. And so you just get to learn everything and take it in and absorb it from the older guys around you.
Yeah, I think for me, coming from club, it's at least my club, it wasn't as team-oriented. I mean, it was still team, but it felt more like individual. Like you're there mostly just for yourself. But here, man, they just emphasize the team. Like, even if you don't do all 6 events, even like one event matters. And yeah, you feel that a lot, especially in the competition. And then in training, like having a team behind you in your training and in competition, it's just a different experience that you don't get anywhere else. And we've heard it from other people who've been on kind of the Olympic stage, on the international stage. It's different. It's something you can't experience outside of the NCAA. It's only there, so.
Okay, so you guys both compete multiple events, right? So tell us, what's your favorite event? And I guess what's your favorite to perform? What's your favorite to practice?
Okay, so my favorite, I'd say, to perform has to probably be, like when it's going so well, is floor. Like you feel like you're just flying and you can find the landing no matter what. That's also super cool to compete in Devaney too, because I'd say I'm a little biased, but we have the best competition environment in the NCAA. And we got just a really strong, supportive Husker fans. And so competing floor is probably my favorite. Training is my favorite is probably rings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you get to, I don't know. It's just a grind on rings, and you get to enjoy the progress that you can see day in and day out. Yeah, that'd probably be my favorite.
Yeah, I like to say it depends on the day and how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
There's some days where I do not like an event that I like sometimes, and then vice versa, you know. So I think that the event I enjoy the most is high bar. I really like flying over the bar, catching it again. Sometimes it's hard and frustrating, but and then to compete, I really like to compete floor. Yeah, obviously I like to compete all the events and try to give my best on them all. So.
Do you agree that it's the best atmosphere collegiately?
Yeah, especially when we go to all the venues and all the events. It's a pretty fun meet.
You know, you guys both just talked about like the flying. I mean, you had to be fearless from the start to be in the sport, right? I mean, you couldn't have any hesitation because otherwise you get hurt, right?
So I'd say definitely when you started, there were some things that you're always scared of. But obviously a majority of us were put in this sport because we were probably, you know, jumping on beds and everything and doing fearless stuff at an age that people weren't, like, you weren't doing that at 3 years old. You weren't like tumbling on a bunk bed or something like that. But there's always those nerves, I think. Especially performing in front of crowds, you get a little nervous. It's like nervous excitement, and then also I'll get nerves, you know, trying a new skill. But yeah, you got to be, if you let the nerves kind of control you, you're done for.
Yeah.
So you have to stay on top of that and kind of subside those nerves a little bit.
So, you know, I know you guys are all focused in on your senior season, but for Husker fans that are listening, what's next for you? What's the next chapter? I know, Taylor, you're going to be pursuing maybe the Olympic national team and that kind of goals. Are those the goals next for you?
Yeah, I think we both are. We're both going to stay here and train and try to start kind of a culture where we can keep people here. And if they want to do something similar. Gymnastics is dying, unfortunately, and so we need to create something that keeps people incentivized into the sport, especially after NCAA gymnastics. A lot of NCAA brings people from club to continue after high school, but yeah, I recently just made the senior national team Alex Natachi and I are going to Germany on Sunday to compete for Team USA. And then every 6 months there's a re-up for national team. So we just got to stay consistent, and then the Olympics are in 2028. So LA, which is a big one.
Yeah. You know, he just hit on that. How important is that when you talk about training and having the national team? They're developed, right, in college gymnastics. So for you guys to have the opportunity to be able to still train here in this facility, how nice is that? How much of a luxury is that for you guys?
Yeah, we like to say that we're spoiled here at Nebraska. We have the best training facility out of every single NCAA program. We would like to say the best training facility in the U.S. So yeah, harboring those gymnasts, like Tay was saying, we want to create a culture out here. There's a program down in Florida called EVO, and so they just a couple of years ago established a program that develops national team members, essentially, and they're going to be the new Olympic training center. So they want to develop those Team USA national team members, Olympians, and we want to establish that here, and we think that there's no better place than here. Like, we have the equipment, we have the coaching who want to, formulate those gymnasts and who absolutely love the sport. So it's just a perfect opportunity out here.
If you were, talking to a young recruit now, why would you tell them to come to Nebraska? If you were giving yourself a sell 6-7 years ago.
If you want to set yourself up for success, this is the place to do it. I know everybody's like, why are you going to Nebraska? Seriously, it's the hidden gem of the United States. Like, most people who come to Lincoln, especially family who've come out here of mine, and they're like, oh yeah, Lincoln, Nebraska, there's nothing there. And then they're like, this place is awesome. Fun place to visit, awesome college town. And through my experience, and I'm sure Chris as well, like I've really grown to love Nebraska. And at least for me, a big thing in my recruiting journey is, yeah, sport's important and academics, but it's more about the people that you meet along the way and the journey that you have. And through the trips that I went on, Nebraska gave me the best vibe to have the best experience in that. Just with the people you meet, the opportunities that you're going to have to serve other people. Nebraska really is the most well-rounded.
Absolutely. Tay nailed it. I mean, Nebraska loves to, formulate you in every single aspect of your life. They not only want the best athletes, they want the best people, and they just really have a great knack for finalizing. Like, they can figure out who can fit that Nebraska formation, and they can figure out how to complete you as a whole. Like, they know how to pick good people, and they know how to continue establishing and finalizing those aspects of your life.
I love that. Okay, well, let's just talk about moving forward. You have your final home meet here inside Devaney against Michigan coming up tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. But then you have Big Tens and then Nationals. And this is a team that's poised to go do some things on a national level. So what's the team mentality like? What's the approach to these next few weeks, knowing you guys have some lofty goals you're chasing?
Sure, yeah. We're just trying to take it week by week. We don't want to think too far in advance about the postseason, but it's definitely on our mind for sure. But we say every single day that, every practice is leading us up to that postseason. And Tay's got one of his favorite mottos that he'll probably talk about that reminds us every single day in the gym. So I'll let him touch on that. But yeah, we're always thinking about that postseason, and we're ready to do some damage.
Yeah, our team motto this year is it takes what it takes. There's a book by Trevor Moawad that Chuck bought a book, and we all read it, and it touches on that there's only a few routes to get to where you want to be. If you want to be a national champ, if you want to be a Big Ten champ, individually as a team, you all have to buy in, and you can't just do what you want to do. Sometimes you got to do things that you don't want to do and that are required to get there. So that's something that we've really focused on this year. And then within like that phrase, it takes what it takes, there's marginal gains. Talk about being 1% better each day. I think the football team does it too. If you walk in the stadium, there's a sign that just has a 1% on it. But it's kind of like this curve where you're just exponentially growing, and then you peak at right where you want to peak. So we touch on it like every meet and every week. And even though we had like a few falls, or we made some big mistakes, we were a little bit better than last meet. And we're a little bit better until once we reach postseason in Big Ten, we're the best team that we've been all year. And not just the best team for ourselves, that we're beating ourselves, but we're beating everybody else in the Big Ten. And so I feel like we kind of struggled at the first start, but it looked like a struggle. But when you look at like the stats and you look at the numbers, we did that. You know, we had small progressions, progress until right now we're right here. And then next week we're going to be right here. And then NCAAs, we're going to be a little bit higher. And we have the potential, we talked about it yesterday, we have the potential to be a national championship team. And when you just look at numbers alone, it's like it's sitting there on paper. And if you don't believe that, then you got to believe in it. And that's what we keep telling the guys, keep telling myself. I'm sure Chris is telling himself that. So when we go into the gym, we try to approach it like that. So.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Okay, so if fans are listening in, they might be thinking about, hey, we need something to do on a Friday night. Give them a sell. Why do they need to come watch you guys take on Michigan?
Well, I'm sure college students love the idea of a free competition. So we don't charge admission. We love to have any support that we can. We actually feed off your energy too. I love engaging with the crowd. You know, I'll join in with the chants all the time, and I'll hype up the crowd a little bit. I love getting involved with that. We get tossed some T-shirts out there. We get a Who's That Husker guessing challenge. So we love to engage with our fans, and you also get to be a part of the most historical men's gymnastics program in the NCAA. I don't know if many people know this, but we are currently tied with historically the longest NCAA championship competition team. So from, 79 to 83, your NCAA Huskers won the men's national championship 5 years in a row. And we have two of our coaches were on the team for that period of time. So you get to come be a part of history, come learn from those historic coaches, and just learn what it's like to support men's gymnastics and to watch men's gymnastics, because it's not a popular sport.
But it's fun.
It's amazing. Now I'm a little biased, but it's very fun.
Dropping some knowledge on us. Also, you should mention too that you're going to have free Gymnastics Herbie T-shirt giveaway and poster giveaway, and not to mention, I mean, you just said it, but you're going to be watching some of the best in men's college gymnastics, not just on Nebraska but from Michigan, right? Some of your national team teammates, right? You're going to be competing against.
Yep. Yeah. Michigan's got. I mean, they got 2 Olympians from this past games. They took the bronze medal, so it'd be really awesome, just for the community to come out and support them, but also to support us. That's what I love about gymnastics and the sport, especially here, is we have like this tight-knit community where people show up every meet, even though it's not the biggest crowd. Everybody knows everybody, and very supportive. I think another thing too is I'm sure most people have seen gymnastics on like the internet, but it's a completely different experience when it's in person. And everybody always says that when they come and watch. So if you haven't been to a men's gymnastics competition in person, I highly encourage you to do that, because it's just a different experience. It'll blow your mind.
Yeah, it will definitely blow your mind. You'll be leaving. How in the world did those guys do those kinds of things on all those different events? But Taylor Christopoulos, Chris Heiser, thank you so much for being here. Congratulations on great careers as Huskers. Enjoy senior night. And hey, I know it's not over yet, but enjoy this one the last time inside Devaney. And hopefully you guys have a good crowd out there to support you. Thank you for being here with us.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, at 7 o'clock inside the Devaney Center, number 3, Nebraska, number 5, Michigan on senior night inside the Devaney Center right here in Lincoln. We're going to step aside for a break. We got more to come here on Sports Nightly coming up right after this.
The signs are everywhere. It's time for Truck Month at your Midwest Ford dealers. Get $3,000 cash on Super Duty and save on Ford F-150. Both part of F-Series, America's best-selling truck lineup for 48 years. Hurry in, folks. These trucks are running. Drive a new Ford Super Duty with $3,000 cash or 1.9% financing. Only at your Midwest Ford dealers, driven by value.
Nebraska Lottery.
Hi, I heard Cash Blast is back.
Yes, sir. Until April 1st, buy a 2x2 ticket and enter the voucher number online for a chance to win one of 7 weekly drawings for $5,000 or $500. And if your voucher is from a 7-day draw ticket, your prize is doubled.
You guys are great.
Thanks, but we think our players are greater.
No, you're greater.
No, you're greater.
Well, if you insist.
2x2 top prize odds 1 in 105,000.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Noddle Companies proudly supports the Huskers Radio Network. As a full-service leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Noddle Hospitality's latest venture in Exarban Village, and the contemporary living of row house townhomes on Leavenworth. We're welcoming world-class concepts from men's fashion and great eats to gorgeous homes and green spaces, all professionally managed by Noddle Services. These are the Noddle Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram.
Dear Truckin' Awesome. Want more horsepower in the stable? The Tundra iForce Max is the most powerful Tundra ever. With its electrifying twin-turbo V6, you got everything you need. Saddle up the Tacoma TRD Pro. Its segment-first performance seats are designed to smooth out the shocks when the ride gets bumpy. The Toyota 4Runner is part mean streak, part wild side, and an all-around icon. Check out that signature power rear window, will ya? Yes, sir, Toyota trucks. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers. Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Baxter Toyota of Lincoln.
For farmers, sustainability is a way of life. 97% of farms are family-owned, and 95% are participating in conservation programs and using sustainable practices.
I'm Ann Meese, a farmer near Elgin, Nebraska. I grew up on this land, and we're dedicated to being good stewards and leaving it better for the next generation.
Since 1980, U.S. soybean farmers have boosted production by 130%, all while lowering emissions and improving land and water use. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Welcome back to Sports Nightly. Another great opportunity to talk to the 9th University of Nebraska Systems President, Dr. Jeffrey Gold, who is in studio with us. And President Gold, first of all, always great to see you again. And I hope the early part of spring has been treating you well so far.
Absolutely. You know, every day is an opportunity to tell the story of this great university, and whether it's on the gridiron or the hardwood, whether it's in the classroom or the research labs. We have a great story to tell, and I look forward to our chat today.
Well, and speaking of the gridiron, Matt Rule has got the team in spring ball right now, so as they're getting into a really important year 3, this is always an important time. But your thoughts on just Coach Rule getting this team ready for the upcoming season?
Well, listen, as I've gotten to know Coach Rule and meet many of his senior staff members, I am really impressed. I'm impressed with him as a coach and a leader, but I'm also impressed with him as a human being. You know, his sense of values, the way he cares for the players and their families is truly remarkable. So, as always, I am very optimistic about the upcoming season. You know, it's a complex time for all of intercollegiate athletics right now because of all of the NIL and revenue sharing pieces. This will be the first year that this will theoretically become a reality. We won't know for sure until around July 1st when this is all supposed to go into effect. And, you know, this is sort of like building an airplane in mid-flight. You know, there are many different pieces that got to be welded and soldered in place before we land. And so hopefully we'll land it well. I can tell you this. I know our athletic director and our coaches and are all over it. And I have a tremendous amount of confidence in the leadership of the Big Ten Conference. You know, I spent a good deal of time with Tony Petitti and my fellow presidents and chancellors, and these people get it, and they're going to try to make the best out of what is a very, very complex situation.
It's remarkable and admirable, you and your colleagues throughout the Big Ten, because of they're really feel like we know how this is going to work, but no one really knows yet. So, but Nebraska, one of those schools that prides itself, we saw this with NIL too, of being ahead of the curve and making sure that they are right there in the forefront as opposed to a school catching up. And I mean, kudos to you and the Big Ten alike just for making sure that that's the case.
Well, you know, I will tell you the communication among and between the 18 schools in the Big Ten, you know, now that we can count up to the 18, and our commissioner, the general counsel of the Big Ten, these people are incredibly committed. They pull us together frequently, one-on-one phone calls and group phone calls and Zoom meetings. And, you know, I was with the group in person at the Big Ten football playoff in Indianapolis, and just to be with them in person and to, you know, drink coffee and share common experiences, just really powerful.
Well, I'm sure that's a lot of strategic planning that goes on there. Let's talk strategic planning with the university and setting priorities for the future. You recently asked university community for feedback on draft strategic framework. What does that framework entail, and what do you hope to accomplish with it?
Well, this is a really important thing that we're doing together right now, and I underscore the word together, with feedback not just at the highest levels of the organization, meaning the chancellors and vice chancellors and the vice presidents, but feedback from the board, feedback from our alumni, but feedback from our faculty, staff, and students, and indeed, at some point, broad community stakeholder feedback. We've already gotten feedback from some of the large agricultural stakeholder organizations, such as Ag Builders and the Ag 40, and from some of our other healthcare groups as well. But the whole idea here is come up with a strategic framework with metrics and accountability for all, myself included, of course, but accountability for the campuses, accountability for the colleges, accountability for the individual departments as to what part of the strategic plan and the metrics they own. So there are 5 what we call foundational pillars that are in the documents that have already been reviewed and moved forward by the Board of Regents. That would include the extraordinary teaching and learning. That would include extraordinary research and scientific discovery. It would include extraordinary partnerships. It would include having an extraordinary and well-defined culture within the organization. Then finally, and very importantly, particularly in all things budget these days, it includes extraordinary stewardship and efficiencies among and between and across all of our campuses. Now, those 5 foundational pillars will have a number of strategies associated with them, probably somewhere, I would say, between 15 and 18 strategies. And each of those strategies will have metrics that will then drill down to the campuses, colleges, and to the respective departments, administrative units, etc. We will be holding each other accountable to deliver on these metrics, and having clarity as to each of the units as how they participate in this and how they've had a chance to shape it is incredibly important.
Well, you mentioned budget. The budget hearing for University of Nebraska, it was held last month before the Appropriations Committee, and I understand you testified on behalf of the university.
I did.
Can you give us go with a high-level rundown of the budget and why it matters, if you can?
So I was part of a group of approximately 10 individuals, some members of the Board of Regents, members of the community, to talk about why the budget of the University of Nebraska is so critical, and to reinforce the fact that we are the public university system for the entire state of Nebraska. We have a tremendous role, not only in economic impact and economic development, future workforce development, research, science, discovery, and creative activity, and of course athletics, the front door of many of our campuses. And that investing in us is both a good short-term and long-term investment. And I understand that the members of the Appropriations Committee, who we've gotten to know extremely well, and I've known and worked with many of them over the last decade, and certainly I've had the incredible honor and pleasure of working with our governor, Jim Pillen, both in his role as a regent and now as a governor of our state. And they have hard decisions that they have to make. And we are grateful for what they do financially and what they do from a policy perspective to support the university. But at the end of the day, we've got to keep the lights on and keep the trains running and buy floor wax and light bulbs to make sure that the lights go on at Memorial Stadium at night, and make sure that our students and our faculty are well supported so that we can push back the frontiers of research. And so my time during this interaction, during this official testimony, was really built around conveying the value proposition of that we are a very high-value part of the current day and the future of the state of Nebraska.
You mentioned roughly 2/3 of the operational dollars comes from the state, while the other third coming from tuition. Mm-hmm. With the level of state support still unsure, how do you address continuing to keep the University of Nebraska affordable?
You know, what our audience needs to understand, that for every 1% reduction in state dollars, that generally equals about a 2% increase in tuition if you were to just, do the straightforward math. So, for instance, if the state were to plus us up, as they did in the last biennium, between 2 and 2.5%, that prevented between a 4 and a 5% tuition increase that would have been passed back to our students, many of whom work either part-time or full-time to go to college, and to their families and their hard-earned dollars as Nebraskans who've been saving up, for their, entire adult careers to send their kids to college. I mean, there is no doubt, Nick, that the only way to uplift people and create social mobility is through education. Mm. And the more affordable and accessible that education is, the better. Now, I'm not saying we can't and shouldn't continue to tighten the belt. We do that every year. As a matter of fact, over the last 11 years, the estimates are we've taken between $135 and $140 million out of the university budget, recurring dollars that will never be made again, and that we've absorbed $150 million of inflationary costs over that same 10 or 11 year period. Those are huge numbers as it relates to what we can do and need to do every day. And that's where this partnership comes in. So I've committed to the entire body of our legislators and, of course, to the governor's office that every conversation that I ever have with them will be civil, it'll be transparent, and it'll be data-based with the most accurate and the most timely data that we have access to. As I've said many times, we don't govern, I don't govern. All I do is help provide useful information to those who have to make hard decisions and encourage them to make the right decision.
President Gold, before we let you go, spring sports, including the ball bat sports, are in full swing. Maybe pun intended there.
Full swing.
Full
right.
swing. Again, you're someone who's very present at all of the athletic contests. Your thoughts on baseball and softball at this point?
Yeah, very exciting. Very pleased with the work that our coaches are doing. As many of the audience may know, I'm a longtime Major League Baseball fan. That's something that you may not ever recover. As a dyed-in-the-wool Yankee fan, living and working in Boston for many years could be somewhat problematic. And I'll just sort of let it go at that. But I learned to adopt to the green wall and all the things that went with it. But nope, I've been had the opportunity to attend several practices and games and look forward to a great season.
President Gold, we really appreciate you joining us as always. Continue the great work.
Thank you. Good to be with you, Nick.
We got more Sports Nightly coming up after this.
No need to hunt around for friendly service, low prices, quality products, and great experiences. You'll find it all with the local experts, Sapp Brothers Petroleum. If you're tired of tracking down another late delivery, it's time to consider Sapp Brothers, where we pride ourselves on delivering products on time or even ahead of schedule, with your safety our top priority. Switching is easy. Just shoot us an email or give us a call. And right now, when you contact Sapp Brothers for any of your fuel, propane, or lubricant needs, you'll be entered to win a guided pheasant hunt next fall. Visit sappbros.net/Huskers.
dealers. When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
If you've been looking for a reason to fill up your car with unleaded 88, how about this? Unleaded 88
can help you save big at the pump
and save the planet by cutting greenhouse gas emissions.
Any car 2001 or newer is approved to use unleaded 88. Speaking of good, it's made from corn, which is great for farmers.
As I was saying, if you need a reason to choose unleaded 88, there you have them. Unleaded 88. Engine smart, earth kind. Visit chooseunleaded88.com to learn more.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Welcome back. Final segment here of hour number 2 and final segment of our last show of the week, as we will not be on the air tomorrow night because we will have Husker women's basketball in the NCAA tournament right here on the network for you, starting at 4:30 with the pregame show, 5 o'clock. First tip between Nebraska and Louisville in the first round of the NCAA tournament. But we will have, even though women's basketball will be on the network here, we'll have coverage of all the sports in action tomorrow. Nate Rohr will be on the call for Husker softball, also at 5 o'clock first pitch as they take on Minnesota. You can listen to that on Huskers.com and the Huskers app. Baseball is late, so 8:30 first pitch, being that they're on the West Coast with USC. So Nick and Ben will handle duties there. They will be on the call for the pregame show starting at 8 o'clock. So it's going to be another busy weekend here in the Huskers Radio Network crossover season. So yeah, we've got you covered, but we will have women's basketball here on the network starting at 4:30. So Husker wrestling is having quite the Thursday night. They are carrying over what they were able to do so far, what they were able to do in the Big Ten championships over into the NCAA championships. So far, 3 Huskers have advanced to the quarterfinals. Ridge Lovett, Brock Hardy, and Antrell Taylor. And they're not only advancing, they're advancing with bonus points, so which is big time. Antrell Taylor gets the pin, and I think it was 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Didn't take long. The guys in the chat are keeping me posted. I barely got over there in time to see him get the pin. So gets extra points there. He advances, and then Brock Hardy, Ridge Lovett, gets his victory in 15-0. So a big-time dominant win for Ridge Lovett there. And we got more Huskers to come. And because they are winning and racking up those bonus points, Huskers currently are in second place with 21 team points, trailing just Penn State. Penn State 31.5. And they, I don't know, have they lost yet? I saw originally that a while ago they hadn't even lost an individual match yet. But Nebraska at 21, Oklahoma State at 18, Ohio State at 17. So Nebraska doing big things in the team competition as well. But hey, that quarterfinal action is set to take place starting at 11 a.m. tomorrow, again on Big Ten Plus and ESPN, so you can watch all of the action there. But so far, Huskers doing some big things there in Philly in the NCAA championships. Got a ball game between Arkansas and Kansas, 64-61. Approaching the 7-minute mark here in the second quarter. That's going to do it for us. Have a great weekend and enjoy March Madness.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
The signs are everywhere. It's time for Truck Month at your Midwest Ford dealers. Get up to $7,500 cash on F-150 and save on Ford Super Duty. Both part of F-Series, America's best-selling truck lineup for 48 years. Hurry in, folks. These trucks are running. Drive a new Ford F-150 with up to $7,500 cash or 1.9 financing plus $4,750 cash. Only at your Midwest Ford dealers. Driven by value.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your basement and damaging your home. Mold, cracks, and of course visible water are just a few signs your basement is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
If you've been looking for a reason to fill up your car with unleaded 88, how about this? Unleaded 88
can help you save big at the pump.
And save the planet by cutting greenhouse gas emissions.
Any car 2001 or newer is approved to use unleaded 88. Speaking of good, it's made from corn, which is great for farmers.
As I was saying, if you need a reason to choose unleaded 88, there you have them.